Police make 4 arrests as confrontations between various demonstrators and police mark 1 year since last year's violent white supremacist events. People flooded 4th Street in Charlottesville.
That you'll bring us a peace, that you'll bring a calm to this entire community.
Prayers and kind words celebrate the memory of Heather Heyer, a woman who died last year fighting for racial justice.
Just to let her know that her life was not in vain.
This as people vow to continue the fight for justice and equality. NBC29 team coverage starts right now.
Live in high definition from the area's most experienced news team. This is NBC29 HD News at 6.
Happening right now in Charlottesville, members of the interfaith community are gathering on the downtown mall at the Sprint Pavilion.
Yeah, the group is participating in a Better Together rally on this, the anniversary of the Unite the Right rally that turned violent. People are coming to the pavilion to pray together for change and healing, both for this community and for the nation. This is a live look with that rally just about to get underway. Coming up tonight on your News at 11, we'll have a closer look at the worship service and hear from community leaders. Also happening now, counter-protesters are still rallying in Washington, D.C., but Unite the Right 2 was over before it really started.
The dueling protests were set for Lafayette Park, just outside the White House. Here's a live look in D.C. where only counter-protesters remain. Unite the Right organizer Jason Kessler and a small group of white nationalist supporters arrived this afternoon, but left soon as demonstrators called out "Nazis go home." It's estimated as many as 15,000 protesters were in D.C. today. Back in Charlottesville, there was a lot of pain yet again today in the streets of downtown. Protesters wanting their voices and concerns heard.
It prompted rolling road closures earlier, but tonight restrictions are easing up around downtown. NBC29's Henry Graff is on the downtown mall with the very latest on that. Hi, Henry.
Steve Casey, good evening. Yeah, those blockades are just beginning to come down here in downtown Charlottesville. The mall crossings, including here at 4th Street, will remain closed through tomorrow. But the cops are leaving and all those fencing and everything else coming down. All this because the city says they believe all planned activities are done for the night, including protests. The pain was palpable in their voices. Another day, another reclaiming of what was taken from Charlottesville and the community 1 year ago when white supremacists descended on the city. The group took to the streets Sunday morning following an event in Washington Park. Members from Standing Up for Racial Justice, anti-fascist groups, and community members marched down Preston Avenue, where at one point police and demonstrators squared off. After that, they moved on to 4th Street Northwest and then West Main Street to the site where Heather Heyer died and countless others injured last year at 4th and Water Streets. Some in the group went inside the restricted area to pay their respects. Others stood outside the secure area to protest police. They were denied access by police. In this demonstration, 2 arrests were made. A 29-year-old from Maine faces charges for spitting in the face of a demonstrator and having a metal baton. Along Preston Avenue, 42-year-old Jesse Beard of Charlottesville was charged with obstructing free passage for blocking police attempting to provide safe passage for the marchers. Ain't no power like the power of people, 'cause the power of people don't stop. Back out here live in an unrelated event, 2 other people were arrested today as well, this time near Market Street Park. 29-year-old Martin Clevenger of Spotsylvania saluted the Confederate Lee statue there in the park, and then 40-year-old Veronica Fitzhugh was among those who police tell us confronted.
All right, some trouble there, but that Henry Graff live for us tonight.
Before that crowd took to the streets, hundreds gathered at Washington Park to stand in solidarity and against white supremacy. NBC29's Victoria Resolo picks up our team coverage now from our newsroom. Good evening, Victoria.
Hi, Steve. Tonight and this morning and all weekend, people are still dealing with the pain and emotion of last year. And although time has passed, the community is still reminding others that the fight against white supremacy is ongoing.
Charlottesville, you do not walk alone.
The sounds of song. Hey, hey, ho, ho! And chants. White supremacy's got to go! Filled Washington Park in Charlottesville on Sunday as hundreds gathered against white supremacy.
So what does Charlottesville do? If Charlottesville is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back! So we're taking this back by force, because this belongs to us.
Emotions ran high as the community looked back on this day last year.
Because if it wasn't for our security, I don't know where we would have been, because we were pushed out of the way of the car on that day.
Activists mourned those injured and lost on August 12th, including Heather Heyer.
She's with me today, too. I just want to point out, as Susan has pointed out before, we don't all have to die doing this work and standing up. But we do all have to stand up, show up, and fight for justice.
And although a year has gone by, they remind others the fight is not over.
I will fight every day that I can for you all and with you all, just to make sure that we beat back racism, that we beat back oppression, that we beat back the ugliness that Kessler and his minions brought here in any way that we can.
Now showing up for racial justice, or Surge hosted the event, and they're reminding people that some people from last year who were injured still need help paying some of their medical bills. And if you wish to do that or wish to donate, we have a link to the Resilient Seville Fund on our website, NBC29.com.
Victoria Reslow live in our newsroom tonight. Thank you, Victoria. Amidst all the protests, people continued to come to Charlottesville's downtown mall today. People who live in Charlottesville are trying to heal and reflect on the violent events of last August. One woman who says she was choked by a Nazi last year told us she's upset the city is crawling with cops.
I feel furious that this response is happening this year and not last year. Last year when there were Nazis, we were all by ourselves. Now this year when it's just us and all the Nazis are in D.C., they're all here.
She says she will take her concerns to Charlottesville City Council.
Outside the unrest, the city of Charlottesville is mourning the loss of Heather Heyer, the 32-year-old woman killed in a white supremacist car attack on 4th Street exactly 1 year ago today. This afternoon, a large crowd joined by Heyer's mother honored her memory. NBC29's Pete DeLuca joins us live on Heather Heyer Way tonight with that story. Hi, Pete.
Yeah, hey there, Casey. We're here in the exact same spot where Heyer was killed in that car attack 1 year ago. Now, 1 year later, much of this scene is very different, but other parts are still very much the same. This year, no blood was spilled here on 4th Street, but we're still surrounded by special chalked messages to Heather and flowers. Susan Bro was greeted with an emotional welcome at the spot where her daughter Heather Heyer was killed 1 year ago. As so many were overcome by emotions, Bro stood stoic.
Susan, how are you able to be so strong?
How can you not be? My daughter had a mission, and it's my job to complete that mission.
Bro celebrated her daughter with a song, Wiz Khalifa's See You Again. A tune she says Heather sends to her when she needs it most.
It'll come on the radio and I crank it up and I sing along.
Everyone remembered Heather in their own special ways.
She was a real sweetheart and very, very passionate about, about basic human rights in general.
They laid flowers, lit candles, and chalked emotional messages.
God bless you, Heather, and we love you.
Community leader Don Gathers led a prayer circle.
We pray right now, Lord, in that divine and holy name, that you would indeed continue to watch over her and her family.
And many recounted last year's tragedy.
We were standing like 2 feet from Heather, and to actually watch how she was hit, and to watch her actually go up in the air and flip and come back down and watch her hit that car and to roll on the ground. I mean, it makes you numb because you really don't even know how to feel.
The large crowd connected with Heather, making sure she and her mother know just how special she was.
We're out here just to let her know that her life was not in vain.
Bro says she appreciates all the love, but wants the focus to not be on Heather, but on the causes she so passionately fought for.
She was here to support equality. She was here to support affordable housing. She was here to support taking care of people.
Now tonight, the wounds are still fresh for many of the others involved in that car attack. Out here earlier today, many of the people were reminding others that there were 29 people injured in that attack, many of whom are still recovering.
All right, Pete DeLuca live in downtown Charlottesville tonight. Thank you, Pete.
Civil rights leader Reverend Al Sharpton paid a visit to Charlottesville this morning to spread a message of unity.
If you want to run this race and think everybody gonna be on your side, you're gonna be disappointed.
Sharpton was greeted by a packed house at Mount Zion First African Baptist Church. He said he chose Charlottesville because in his mind, this was the scene of a crime, and the nation needs to identify it and move forward. He believes his message can help unify the community.
I think that if I could make the appeal and say that it is important that we support young people, black and white, marching together and raise them as the contrast to what we saw with the neo-Nazis.
All of the protests, Sharpton hopes people will remain strong, passionate, and nonviolent. People in Charlottesville came together for prayer and reflection today across from the downtown park where violence broke out a year ago. NBC29's Megan Moriarty continues our coverage with the message behind today's service. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Steve. Today I walked alongside pastors and people of all different faiths and ethnic backgrounds as they marched from the UVA Rotunda to Market Street Park, just trying to spread a little bit of peace throughout the city of Charlottesville. During a time when things seem hopeless,
God's got this and God's got you.
people are brought together through faith.
Charlottesville was this sleepy little college town until last year, and now it's become something other than what it truly is.
We want to see healing and transformation in our city, and that's what we're about.
The Charlottesville Prayer Coalition has held many events throughout the year, but on the one-year anniversary of this deadly day, they want to march and pray in solidarity.
We want to see healing and transformation in our city, and that's what we're about.
People gathered at the Rotunda on the University of Virginia grounds. There, they were asked to pair up with someone who doesn't look like them as they began their journey to First Street.
I think that there's a lot to talk about in terms of race relationship. The discussion is not going to be solved in a minute.
The group concluded their march across the street from Market Street Park, where 1 year ago, pastors say they witnessed violence.
The hope is that we're going to bring pastors and churches together, not just for today, but what are we going to do next month, next year, and so we can continue to work together to bring about unity in this city.
In Charlottesville, Megan Moriarty, NBC29 News. After their prayer walk, people then gathered at the Haven for a service. Pastors tell me that there is still a lot of work to be done, but they're hoping that one day Charlottesville can be remembered for what it once was, a home to many people.
Megan Moriarty live in downtown Charlottesville tonight.
Tonight, police say a suspect in a deadly shooting in Nelson County was shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy in Amherst County. Police were first called to a home along Avon Road. They found a woman whose identity has not been released dead inside. Shortly after, sheriff's deputies in Amherst County spotted the suspect vehicle in that shooting. State police say that led to a chase and the suspect crashed. 40-year-old Anthony Mackay Hutchinson of Waynesboro then opened fire. One deputy was shot and is expected to recover. Hutchinson was hit and killed by return fire.
State leaders joined the Charlottesville-Albemarle NAACP this afternoon to talk about how we right the wrongs in the history of the city and the state.
Plus, raising their voices to reclaim their city. Still ahead, hear how people used a sing-along to promote positivity on this painful anniversary.
Numerous showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some were severe. They're moving out tonight, though. Some may return tomorrow. Your work and school week forecast is next. The risk for severe weather is over tonight. Good Sunday evening to you. I'm NBC29 meteorologist Josh Fitzpatrick, and our exclusive dual pole triple Doppler radar is showing some leftover showers over Charlottesville, Albemarle County, but the widespread heavy rain is now moving on out of here. The showers are weakening, drying out now with some sunshine starting to break out through the clouds in the Shenandoah Valley from Waynesboro, Stanton to the Harrisonburg area, and some steadier showers for another half hour or so from Standersville, Madison, Culpeper over to Orange, where flood warnings continue for the next few hours for some leftover high water in Greene, Madison, Culpeper, and Orange County. So watch those flood-prone areas closely. Numerous reports of trees down, especially into the Culpeper area. 75 to 100 foot tall trees in 3-foot diameter knocked down today because of high winds and also golf ball size hail. Also a few reports of flooding between Madison and the Orange area, but thankfully now the weather is quieting down, and a leftover shower in Palmyra, Lake Monticello to Louisa, but the worst of the weather is history, and we're drying out in Livingston over into Buckingham. Temperatures are rain cool now. We had highs in the 70s and 80s. Now we're in the 60s area-wide, and we will stay in the 60s all night long. So we say goodbye to the widespread shower, some patchy fog overnight, and tomorrow morning going to be quiet too, but then tomorrow afternoon, another risk for shower and storm, but I don't think they'll be as widespread or as intense as what they were earlier today. And then we're going to dry out on Tuesday morning, and just a stray rain chance on Tuesday afternoon, but the worst of the weather is over now. So lows tonight will stay in the 60s, becoming partly cloudy. You may be able to see a few of those Perseid meteors overnight tonight. Look to the northeast especially, and highs tomorrow upper 70s for the valley, with another risk for shower and storm in the afternoon and evening. Highs will be in the low to mid 80s in Charlottesville to Louisa, Orange to Culpeper, and into the Buckingham area. Your Michael and Son 7-day forecast is showing us temperatures in the upper 80s on Tuesday. Only a very small chance for a pop-up shower. I don't expect widespread activity. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, the August heat returns. Upper 80s, low 90s on Wednesday, 90 or better on Thursday. It'll feel like 95 with the humidity. And then another system will arrive by Friday and Saturday with another shot of showers and storms. We are back in just a moment.
The NAACP hosted a forum this afternoon that focused on healing from last year's white supremacist event.
Yeah, UVA's President Jim Ryan, State Senator Creed Deeds, and Heather Heyer's mother, Susan Breaux, were among those in attendance. NBC29's Lowell Rose is back from that forum and in our newsroom with details. Hi, Lowell.
Good evening, Casey and Steve. The forum was called a time of reflection and healing, and that's exactly what people did today. Organizers say people must reflect, heal, and move forward. That people from the community came together at Zion Union Baptist Church to reflect on a number of issues and events that they said contributed to the issues in Charlottesville. Speakers said the issues in this history of the city were here long before August 11th and 12th last year. One Virginia senator says the reflection is necessary to find ways to move forward.
Just that we have to be forward thinking, that we need to reflect, we need to remember the people we lost, a resident of this community and 2 state troopers last year, and that was a very somber day, and that we all remember. But we have to move forward, we have to build on what we've learned and grow together.
Senator Deeds said it's important for people to come together and engage in conversations with one another. Susan Breaux was also there, and she reiterated her message that she's had leading up to this weekend, and that message is to focus on the issues that were important to her daughter. Live in the newsroom, Lowell Rose, NBC29 News.
Thank you, Lowell. Some people joined forces to raise their voices in response to the violence of last summer.
A pop-up sing-along provided a positive way for people to reclaim the city. NBC29's Annie Schroeder was there and joins us now. Hi, Annie.
Casey and Steve, over 500 people came together to sing and support one another today at Mount Zion First Baptist Church for the first ever Seville Sing Out. People of all ages came out to the Sing Out to sing songs like Hallelujah and even a song titled Charlottesville, written by Charlottesville native Evelyn Carter. The Sing Out was scheduled to take place at Ix Park, but due to heavy rain had to move to the church. Organizers say they planned the Sing Out to help people have a unique way to remember and heal from the events of last August.
And we thought that this would be a really unique way to memorialize the day
and to make it into a positive thing so that we are really a mosaic of people coming together for song and harmony and beauty and love, rather than how Charlottesville's been depicted in the past years.
Organizers say the event was inspired by different choirs across the country to sing along in Charlottesville's honor. Members of the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Choir who organized the event say they plan on holding more events in the future to bring the community together. Live in the studio, Annie Schroeder, NBC29 News at 6.
Thank you, Annie. Well, today was the final round of the Jefferson Cup golf tournament.
We're going to take you out to Birdwood Golf Course, see if Dustin Groves can hold on for its first Jefferson Cup championship. Sports is next.
Former Monticello High School golfer Dustin Groves was 6 under par through the first 2 rounds of the annual Jefferson Cup golf tournament. The 32-year-old Groves would enter today's final round with a 3-stroke lead. Groves is playing this Birdwood golf course this weekend for the first time since he was 16 years old, 16 years ago. He got off to a great start with birdies on 5 of the first 6 holes, a great chip here on the 9th hole. It would be an easy par. Greene County's Nick Little started the day just 4 strokes off the lead. Here a great par putt on the 11th hole. Little finished 6 over par for the tournament. Former University of Maryland golfer Riley Earhart, probably upset about his alma mater's football program, but he does bury the par putt. He would finish in 2nd place. Jeff Toms on the 16th hole, clutch with the camera rolling. Fantastic shot for birdie. Tom shot a 73 and tied for 3rd place. But the day belonged to Dustin Groves. Check out the nice chip on the 13th hole. It would set him up for another easy par. After Groves' hot start, he parred 8 of the 9 holes on the back 9. Dustin Groves wins by a whopping 8 strokes. He shot a 3 under par 69 today. Groves was 9 under for the tournament, which ties a Jefferson Cup golf tournament record.
I got off to such a great start today that the last 12 or 13 holes were pretty stress-free. I knew I had a pretty substantial lead, and I really just wanted to make a bunch of pars. That was sort of my goal once I got to number 6 or 7. I just executed well really all week, and it feels good. It feels good to win.
Maryland's Earhart finished 8 strokes behind Groves. Toms finished 3rd. Sam Young with 4th place, and Nick Little rounds out the top 5. Real quick on the track, Kevin Harvick wins the NASCAR Cup race at Michigan.
Thank you, Marty.
We'll be right back.
Well, storms are gone for the night.
Thanks, Josh.
Good night.